you, man. And I appreciate you reaching out.
Oh, no, of course.
Music brings us together, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it's special.
Yeah.
Welcome to Our Drummers Musicians, your backstage pass to Melbourne's vibrant music scene. Recorded on a cozy couch in Brunswick, join us as we explore what it truly means to be a musician and speak to the diverse talents that make music in our city. Today on the podcast, we're diving into the dynamic world of Alex Kwong. Known in the music industry as A2K, Alex is an independent producer from Melbourne whose tracks have amassed over 45 million streams. Alex's music has been Shazammed more than 117,000 times and he's garnered over 13 million views across TikTok and YouTube Shorts. A multi-talented instrumentalist, Alex's skills extend beyond the studio to live performances as well, where he captivates audiences both as a DJ and musician alongside various artists. His notable collaborations include work with artists such as Zuher, Will Singe, and Rinny. In addition to his prolific production career, Alex co-founded Amplified Entertainment, the culmination of three friends' musical passion for music, bringing professional DJ services and a platform for emerging musicians and performers to grow. Alex's unique blend of skills and excellence spans beyond the arts as well. Not only a talented musician proficient on cello and piano, Alex excelled academically, achieving dux of his high school, and remarkably, alongside his music success, Alex is also a practicing medical doctor. Join us as we explore Alex's music, his journey, his contributions to nurturing talent through Amplified Entertainment, and the creative processes behind his successful productions. We want to take a moment to acknowledge the Wurundjeri Woiwurrung people of the Kulin Nation as the traditional custodians of the land on which this podcast was recorded. We pay our respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging. Alex, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me here.
What is the most recent album that you've listened to?
Most recent album that I've listened to. Okay. Because there's one thing that's dominating my mind right now, and it's just the big goss and news in hip-hop. I don't know if you're following that yourself, Luke.
No, please fill me in.
It's not exactly an album, but I just have to interject with the Drake and Kendrick Lamar beef.
Okay. Tell me everything.
Oh, there's too much to say, and I don't want to get cancelled or get into trouble here, but I'm just enjoying the process. I think it's a very monumental thing that's happening in music and in hip-hop right now. And I guess the two of the biggest rappers of all time, Drake and Kendrick Lamar, are just beefing with each other and sending out diss tracks back and forth every day or so.
Oh, wow. Every day, like a new diss track drops.
It's been crazy.
Wow.
So that's the latest thing that I've been following very intensely.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Other than that, in terms of whole albums that I've been listening to, it's probably just a lot of pop recently, to be honest. I've got a DJ gig coming up for university students. Mm-hmm. And back in the day when I started DJing, I feel like it was easy to know what songs were cool because that's the age that I was, and I was DJing to, the crowd of my age. But now I'm getting old, man. And I don't know what's popular anymore. I don't know what's cool. I'm trying to work it out. And then I end up interacting with younger people and they're like, why are you listening to that? Or like, I think I'll come up with something really good and some style of music that's a bit unique. And they'll be like, oh, that's so mainstream. So I've been spending a lot of my time listening to a lot of just common pop albums.
Yep.
Just to make sure that I'm up to date.
Okay.
Working my way through Taylor Swift's latest album at the moment, I've got to say.
Is there anything new that you're like enjoying? Well, like in particular, I guess, like, 'cause pop music, can be, I guess, hit or miss with like personal preferences.
Yeah, look, I'm pretty broad with the kind of music that I enjoy. I love all kinds of music, anywhere from really light listening stuff and cozy kind of stuff to listen to, all the way through to really heavy, hard hitting rap or different subgenres of EDM as well. I love it all. I still love my oldies. I love listening to the 60s. I love my classical music and everything in between. In terms of what I'm vibing at the moment, I feel like pop music in itself has taken a very alternative, indie, Brunswick, if you will, kind of vibe and forefront. And I'm really, really digging that vibe at the moment. What else? I still really like my EDM at the moment. I feel like I'm coming back around to a lot of house music.
Okay.
In particular, UK garage music has just been really vibey to me at the moment, as well as drum and bass. And I feel like those rhythms of like the are just really just giving me a lot of energy to exercise and do my workouts and everything at the moment.
So are there like some modern drum and bass artists, or is this more like you're listening back to?
No, modern drum and bass.
Okay.
And yeah, a lot of it ties into, or at least the ones that I'm really bopping at the moment, ties into this new wave of what we call like UK garage artists. And my, I guess, poor summation of the genre would be like these garagey sounding breakbeat kind of drum loops that are either like more house four to the floor kind of drum loops, but with a lot of syncopation and a lot of dotted rhythms and fast moving percussion. That or like this more slower moving but still very fast paced drum and bass kind of breakbeat grooves.
Cool.
That are just driving these cool tracks.
Is music as like a, I don't know, like a motivator or like emotional uplifting thing, like quite important and integral to your life, like beyond just like, I don't know, a pump up track for going for a run or going to the gym?
Beyond that, 100%. I think, I don't know, music's just kind of part of everything that I do and everything that I think about, even if I'm chilling at work. And as you mentioned, as a medical doctor in the hospital, if nothing's too crazy, I'll just be sitting in the office just pumping tunes. I don't really care. But you mentioned going for a run. That's quite important to me, and music when going for a run. Running is a very recent thing that I've picked up. I've never been a runner.
Okay.
And it's just never something that's intrigued me or interested me. And I've always been very bad at it. But I've just been peer pressured as of late, because running's like the new social thing to do. It's the new cool thing to do.
Yeah, have you joined a park run?
No, not park runs, but I've been doing a few with just with friends, and then quite a lot by myself. But music is what really helps me get through it. If I didn't have a good DJ set or some tunes to listen to, I'd be dead on the floor.
Well, I guess like, you know, your musical influences have spanned such like a long time and so many different genres and instruments and stuff. Maybe would you be happy to share like a bit of a chronology from like how you very first got started into music, either by like listening or playing your first instrument?
Yeah.
And then sort of, you know, how you've gone from being a very young student, completing, I don't know, like classical instrument exams and things, to now being like a very successful producer in a very different genre of music.
Yeah. No, that's a really good question. So starting at the start, I was a good Asian kid. I was introduced to playing piano by my lovely mum, who I love very dearly, at the age of 5. And I enjoyed music as a kid, and I did get pushed along, but not excessively so. But I reciprocated, and I really just always enjoyed playing music ever since I was a kid. So yeah, I grew up playing classical piano, and I loved it. And then I took on cello when I was, I think, 8 or something.
Okay.
And I really loved that as well. Did that all the way through primary school, through high school. I just enjoyed playing classical music, and I don't know, being part of the bands and the orchestras and this and that, and all that good nerdy stuff. I did really enjoy it.
Did you like practicing as a young kid?
Well, yes and no. Especially as a kid, no one likes practicing. Even as an adult, yeah. But at the same time, I did practice a lot because I did enjoy it to a degree, and I enjoyed, I guess, the result of my practicing.
Yes.
And even going back to when I was a kid, I knew that practicing was good for me, and it was something that would eventuate to me becoming a better and more competent as a musician. And I was keen and determined and happy to put in the work and work hard for it. And I guess that ended up well for me. And that's, I guess, just luckily like a mentality that I've had about a lot of other different things in life as well. Yeah.
What do you think developed that? Was that, something that you were conscious about, developing that mindset, or it was imparted on you by like family or other mentors? Or it's just, I don't know, something like deep within you that you've noticed is consistent in lots of different pursuits you've had?
Who knows how that, I guess, was developed and instilled in me. I'd say it's probably a combination of nature and nurture. And whether just me intrinsically as a person, I've always been someone that strives to, do things and be busy and work hard and achieve things and always strive for something bigger than myself and chasing the next thing. And I guess that's still just the kind of person that I am today. Whether in music or in other aspects of my life, is just something that I like doing. But definitely nurture as well. And the environment that I was raised in, I was fortunate to have loving parents that pushed me along, not excessively so, not to a degree of, that costing me my mental health or anything. But I was lucky that I was a kid that responded well to it as well. And I was in an environment with friends and family around me where others were also doing similar things. And whether that be in music, in academics, or in sport, like everyone was doing cool things around me. Yes. And I just wanted to be a part of that. Just I guess the people that I've surrounded myself since finishing high school as well, whether musicians or, again, more in academia or uni, this and that, or work and whatever aspect of life. Like I like to surround myself with people that are doing cool things, and that inspires me to keep doing cool things too. But coming back to your question then about my music journey. So classical throughout my earlier life. And then as I moved later into high school, I wanted to be cool and this and that. And then as I transitioned to first year uni, I was like, right, I've got to be cool now. I can't stop being like a nerdy kid with just classical music. So I was like, we're starting uni, and then me and my friend Sam, as you know, like we both grew up playing the same instruments and the same classical stuff exactly.
Yeah.
Like, no, we're starting uni now. We're going to parties and learning about, alcohol and girls and this and that. And we're like, no, we need to be cool, So then we're like, what are we going to do? We'll pick up DJing.
Wow.
So that's how we started learning to DJ. And like throughout high school and primary school, like I didn't just listen to classical music, just to be clear. Like I grew up in primary school loving rock, loving R&B as well, but I'd say probably just classic punk rock. Simple Plan was one of my favorite bands of all time.
Oh, wow.
And Simple Plan actually came and toured in Melbourne a month or two ago, and I went, and that was a dream come true. Just a bit of a sidetrack there.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But yeah, and then through high school, like I loved electronic music. EDM was a big part of my life. I loved rap and just all sorts of music. But then when we started university, we're like, oh, we got to learn to DJ. EDM was really big and pumping back then. So we're like, oh, we're just going to learn to DJ EDM music, which is a nice, easy place to start as well.
Yeah, right.
So then we fell into that and somehow ended up doing some like university gigs and club gigs, and we became nightclub DJs throughout uni, which was kind of fun and exciting for us.
Yeah.
Not something that I'd ever be interested anymore nowadays, because my bedtime is like 9, 10 p.m. or even earlier when I can.
Had you got into like the clubbing scene aside from the DJing that you were doing? Like, was that something that you're going out to clubs, or was the DJing like your first exposure to that scene?
No, it wasn't my first exposure. I got it back in the day. Not anymore. I'm way too old for that and don't have any interest in that anymore now.
Well, I'm only asking because some people like go to a scene and they get excited by it, and then they pursue like the artistic endeavor afterwards. Yeah, and others get thrown in on a stage because they had a talent, and then they're suddenly in a world that they don't know about, but they're just there to make music.
No, I think for us, we university hit, and when we were just learning about life, and we were silly and 18, we're like, oh, let's go out and go drinking and this and that. And it was a nice opportunity to just meet a lot of people and have a good time and, chill out and and get drunk. But I think through that we just somehow made the right connections to get gigs for ourselves and fake it till you make it. Initially, you kind of hype yourself up at the start, and you like have half of an idea what you're doing. And that's actually how we met one of my other best friends, Ryan, who is a part of my amplified DJ business, and we mostly do weddings nowadays.
Yep.
But we all met Ryan, or me and Sam met Ryan through DJing, and he didn't really know what he was doing either. He'd never been a musician. He'd never DJ'd before, but he told them that he could, kind of.
Oh, wow.
I'm not outing him here, but I feel like that's a bit of an exaggeration, but it's kind of how all of us were. And it's not like we didn't know what we were doing. I think we did all right, and we understood music, and like Ryan's an amazing musician and musically minded person. And then we kind of just became best friends doing that stuff there. And then after that, I guess the natural extension of learning to DJ and learning to DJ EDM music was, why don't we just make it ourselves? And that's when I started learning about music production. And I think I started on GarageBand, either GarageBand or Fruity Loops.
I don't know Fruity Loops.
Yeah, it's Fruity Loops or FL Studio. It sounds like a silly name, but it's a very, not as popular nowadays, but it was a really popular DAW or DAW, digital audio workstation, for those that don't know that term, back in the day. But it's still used quite a lot nowadays.
Okay.
So I started with those and making some very, very simple, horrible beats. Then I was just watching a lot of videos on YouTube and just all self-taught. And I remember one of the ways that I learned a lot about music production was I would just press every button and see what happened.
Oh, great way to learn.
Just turn this knob.
Yeah.
What's this? Oh, okay, this sounds like that. And I'd just spend hours just literally just clicking everything to see what happened.
Wow.
And then that combined with YouTube, combined with a bit of experience and time, a lot of time. And then, so it started building myself up as a producer. Initially, it was all electronic music back in the day. And then when I started shifting my production focus to R&B music was, I think, third year uni.
Okay.
And this is where Zuhair, who's one of the main artists that I work with nowadays, approached me, and I had met him briefly through a mutual friend in university. And then he messaged me one day on Facebook out of the blue. And I was like, oh, I think I remember meeting this guy. No idea who he is, but he sent me this long message, and he was like, he's the loveliest, one of the loveliest people you'll ever meet. And he sent this really lovely message, and it was like, hey, something we met through so-and-so or something. I'm actually a singer, and I've been wanting to make covers and like put them up onto Facebook or something. And I heard that you play keys, and I was just wondering if you wanted to hang out and do some sessions or something and record some music and record some song covers together. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Don't know who he is that well, but yeah, sounds like a plan. And we linked up over that. And the other thing actually that I should add is that he did say that he wanted to eventually do something more with music and make it into something bigger. And I remember him saying that he thought I had good fashion as well, and that was quite important to his cause. That seemed like a trendy dude. So
wow, nice.
Yeah. I don't know if he still feels that way. Anyway, so we linked up over music through that and started making some covers of popular pop and R&B songs back in the day. And we're having fun with that, and that was an opportunity for me to explore a bit of like basic recording, vocal recording, keys and guitar, and I still had no idea what I was really doing. And then the kind of far-sighted goal was somehow we might start making our own originals. And then the catalyst for us that transitioned us to originals was a thing with Universal Music and licensing and copyright and this and that many years ago, that actually removed all our covers off Facebook. And not just us, it was for like a lot of artists, and it used to be the in thing to do was to post your covers on Facebook.
Right.
And they all got removed, and we were like, oh crap, like we can't do this anymore. So then we were like, oh, well, okay, we might as well just make originals. And that's how we started making original songs.
Wow.
And then, so it was mostly R&B music, and I just kind of fell into, I guess, producing those kind of genres. So I'd say, oh, Scout, don't hit the microphone. There's a dog on my lap, just for reference. What was I saying? Yeah, so mostly, I guess, like R&B soul, pop R&B kind of tracks, some slightly more alternative, relaxed acoustic things as well. And yeah, we just started making that music for fun, and it started very small, and we had no idea how the reception would be. But somehow, gradually, I guess, through a product of good music, I'd like to say, through hard work, dedication, determination, persistence, we managed to start building a fan base and an audience. And we started expanding. Our music started getting popular. We started reaching out with other artists around Melbourne, producers and singers and musicians alike, and made a lot of long-lasting connections and friendships that I still hold very dearly to this day. And yeah, then our music just started going up and up from there. I started working with other singers and producers a bit as well, but still the majority of my production has been for Zoo. And we became best mates, and we still are best mates to this day.
Wow.
So I guess that's how that eventuated. Since then, with I guess with Zoo's music, we've been a bit more fluid and experimental with genres, which is something that I really like about our stuff. We've done some more, and even this year, some of our upcoming projects are a bit more like alternative indie kind of style, because that's something that is, I don't know, something I've been vibing a lot lately, and is pretty popular and has been well received when we've thrown in some kind of like indie little spices into our previous songs so far.
Yeah, cool.
And yeah, most recently, I have finally decided to start revisiting some of my own personal songs and production under my, I guess my production producer name is A2K. So I've decided as of, when was it? Like, I think late last year, that I want to revamp A2K as a project, and start releasing some music more for myself. And it's, so far I've only released one song, and there's one coming out on June 5th. They're both more EDM tracks. I don't even know how to describe the type of EDM that they are. I've been trying to work it out for so long. It's like a blend between, I think it's hard because there's I don't think there's an official terminology for the genre of music that I'm trying to create. Like it exists, but there's no formal term. So I don't know, melodic dance house, emotional dance, words that I see thrown around. But yeah, that kind of music mixed with some like deep house elements, some slightly trance elements, but most importantly, the plan is to still incorporate some R&B stuff. So these two tracks that I've got at the moment, the first one's already released. It's called Close Your Eyes.
Yeah, it's a cool track.
Yeah, thanks, man. And the second one's called Reflect, coming out on June 5th. They're a bit more just kind of softer EDM. And then the plan from here is to reincorporate like the R&B stuff that I love as well. And experiment with a bit of a hybrid blend between the both. And I think that brings me to where I am now.
Yeah, wow. Oh, thanks for sharing the journey. It's so interesting how you sort of said like, oh, I don't know how to like put my current musical genre in a box because it's this blend of lots of things, and other people are doing that same blend. But I think that's like, it seems to be such a trend of like modern music making, I guess, is that it's no longer, I don't know, extremely siloed. Like people are sort of bringing in a lot of influences together. So it's not just like an indie rock band. It's like an indie rock, folk, punk, emo band sound.
100%.
Like, yeah, I don't know, because I don't know heaps about the like EDM scene. And, you know, I've followed some of the music that you've put out over the years, and I really appreciate you being so generous to like explain some of these, you know, styles and terms and things. But yeah, I guess how much does it matter to you about putting a label on the music? Is that important so that you can, you know, be categorized with the other right playlists and things like that for your music, more so than for like an actual sound creation thinking? Or I don't know, do you just like making music that you like, and now you're like, oh, I guess, how do I describe it to somebody else?
I think first of all, I agree that it's amazing that nowadays artists, singers, producers aren't really confined to a genre and they're not siloed, as you said. And that's something that I think I used to struggle with early in my, I guess, career, so to speak, as a musician. Because, you know, back like 5 or so years ago, 5-10 years ago, like if you're a singer or a producer or something, like you make a certain type of music and that's your thing, you know, and people know you for this sound and you're trying to find your sound, so to speak. But that's not really a thing anymore. Whether singers or producers, like it's quite normal to just be very cross genre. One of the biggest examples in the EDM world is someone like Calvin Harris, who's just a huge household name now. And he started with just like your classic, I guess, EDM tracks of the time, like We Found Love with Rihanna, or I don't know, like Bounce and all those kind of songs in that David Guetta kind of peak era.
Yes.
But then he moved into this random funk sound.
Okay.
And these like 80s kind of funky sounding beats that just kind of came out of nowhere, and everyone's like, oh, what's this? And then he moved into this like new age techno sound with tracks like Miracle, with, I think that's with Ellie Goulding. Anyway, but I guess like he's just one of the prime examples of a household name that just doesn't need to have one sound to be like, this is Calvin Harris's music.
Yes.
And there's a lot of other producers in a very similar vein doing similar things now. And I think that really inspired me, who, when I started as a producer, I always wanted to make stuff for myself, but I just kind of fell into producing for other people, which I still love doing. But I was always like, what's my sound going to be? And what kind of music do I want to be known for? But it doesn't need to be a specific niche sound, is something that I'm growing to realize, and I don't have to care too much about having this one kind of narrow stream or direction of sonic direction that I want to take. So now I'm a lot more open, and I just have a rough kind of focus of where I want to direct my energy, and then just take it from there. And if songs sound a little bit different to the, you know, to what I had envisioned or from one another, like that variability is a good thing for me.
Yeah.
In terms of though playlisting and marketing, that's still something I'm trying to explore for myself. But it's hard when your song doesn't match. It's like, who do I want to pitch it to? Where do I want to promote it? And as much as I guess music or life in general is this crazy spectrum of everything with no boundaries and no limits, and that's what makes life so grand and crazy and exciting in the deepest way possible. But also in a similar vein, music, that's what makes music so crazy, is that there's no limits, there's no boundaries, there's no borders, and it's anything, and it doesn't really matter. And I love that about it. But when it gets to the business end of music, it has to have categories, because otherwise you can't take anything anywhere with it, just saying, this is my song.
Yes.
You need to have direction and you know, I guess formulas and structures to be able to be successful as well at the same time. So it's a bit tricky.
I was just thinking, like, you know, about your timeline and this like multi-genre, and also finding your voice and trying to have a sound, but then being open to lots of other sounds. Like, had you been writing any music up until the point that you started collaborating with Zoo? You know, like as part of the DJing work, I assume it's working with other people's songs, but had you started doing some of your own like EDM compositions or songwriting?
I had. I don't really remember. I slightly remember what some of them were. That none of them were great. Excuse me. Nor representative of something that like I would want to represent myself with nowadays as an artist, because this was like 10 years ago or something. But I don't know, I think I was just experimenting back in the day. Trance was really big for me. And very big in the scenes that I was a part of. So that kind of music, and big room EDM, big room house, electro house, those kind of were the predominant genres. So I think that's what I was experimenting and learning with back then. And then Melbourne Bounce, this kind of wave of a particular style of EDM that kind of, I think it came from Melbourne, which was called Melbourne Bounce. That was pretty big, and I was trying to make stuff like that as well and emulate. I think when you start learning as a producer, and even nowadays as a producer, a lot of it is emulation and mimicry, and just creating your own product out of combining influences from different artists and songs that you're vibing at the time.
Yeah. So what's your workflow like now? We've sort of covered like how many different influences you have coming in and all the different instruments that you've played. But you've got a home studio set up with a bunch of different instruments and sorry about Scout. Just
we've got a third guest on the podcast.
Yeah, just being very vocal today.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's the flow like now when you sit down in your space to start working on a new track?
And Scout's just about to hit the microphone again. What's my workflow like? It's very variable, I'd say. If I'm working with, let's say first, if I'm just working by myself, making a beat for myself, it's still very variable. Sometimes I like to be inspired by things around me and things that I listen to and my environment and my emotions as much as I can. But I do find it tricky to just constantly have that inspiration and draw from the things around me, especially because unfortunately, I don't have that much time to dedicate to music. I work a full-time job as well and have other priorities in my life. But I don't know, sometimes I'm in the shower, I'm in the car, and I just think of a random sound or something that I'd like to make, or I'm just listening to a track in the car. I'm like, oh, damn, I'd love to make something like that. And then an idea just comes to me, and then I just run into the studio at my next availability and just start like jotting down some ideas.
Yeah, cool.
Whereas sometimes, I don't know, I just sit in the studio, I'm like, I want to be creative. Because I think creativity is this delicate balance between sometimes it just comes to you, and you can't force it or push it. But at the same time, I can't remember where I heard this, something on some YouTube inspirational video or something, that creativity is also like a muscle that you need to train and develop.
Yes.
And if you sit there just waiting for creativity to come to you, like you're just wasting your time. But at the same time, you can't force it inorganically. But it's something that you do need to be able to train and build so that you can generate these ideas frequently. And it's something I do struggle with at times, especially when like my day job gets busy and this and that. I find that I'm a little bit cyclical at times with my creativity and my workflow. And sometimes that's not necessarily a bad thing, because once I finish some creative projects, then I'm more focused on like the mixing and mastering side of things, and that gives me a chance to relax my creative brain and just focus more on the surgical side of music production to finish off a track.
Yes.
Once I do sit down in the studio and have ideas, though, I don't know. I tend to start with keys just because that's my main instrument. So I'll start with some chords. I don't start with vocals if it's just me, because I'm not a vocalist. I'm not a singer. I reckon I can write decent melodies, but the one thing that I cannot do and that I'm horrible at, and that whenever I try, people just laugh, is lyrics. And that's something that I want to be better at. I don't know. I just feel like...
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, it's very impressive to write good lyrics that don't sound like cringy or horrible or don't make any sense and sound kind of cool. It's interesting. That's a whole nother ball game. But I start with keys often, or I'll start with like a beat. And actually that's another interesting point, because unlike yourself, Luke, I'm not a drummer. Like I can play a very, very, very basic beat. But I'm absolutely by no means like a drummer or a percussionist. And the way that I learnt to make percussion beats and different kind of loops and different genres and different styles was just by listening to them and then going on Ableton and then trying to copy them in.
Oh, like manually write in the MIDI?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's mostly what I do.
Yep.
Even for more acoustic-y sounding things, just because I don't have a drum kit and don't have the ability to do it myself. A lot of it is done digitally, and I'll just make it sound live through adjusting velocities adjusting timings. Timing so that everything's not perfectly on the grid and this and that, and just changing the grooves of things manually. But a lot of it is done digitally, and that's how I started writing like percussive layers.
Yeah,
and stuff.
sure.
But I learned so much through doing that, and I feel like I understand a lot more about percussion and drums through doing that. And then just gradually build up a beat and then arrange it and then take it from there. That's probably a really bad summation of my of my workflow. It's different if I'm working with a singer. They'll often come to me with melody, lyrics, plus or minus some chords, and then I'll just build off the basis that they've given me. Experiment with a few different ideas or directions that we could take the song in. I'll brainstorm with the artist what I think we could do, what I think would sound pretty dope.
Yep.
And then we just choose a direction and make a crappy version and see if it sounds all right. And if it does, then we roll with it and build it up, take it from there.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
It was interesting that you used the term like surgical to describe the mixing and mastering process. And I really like that you have this. I'll use my Ableton DAW for the creative, like musical, the writing, the composing, the like making sounds thing, but then use Pro Tools as I'm putting on my different hat now of coming in to do the mixing and mastering.
Yeah.
Where did you get that idea from? And are you coming in with like that like surgical, like deeply focused and precision I don't know, like an attitude that is so different to like a creative hat of music production?
Yeah, definitely. Well, so with production, I started with, well, basically, I don't started with Ableton, but I use Ableton for all my production. I love Ableton as a software. I think it's amazing. I think it's very versatile. I think it's very easy to use and user-friendly. And mapping things like automation is just very intuitive.
Yeah.
The Pro Tools idea kind of came to me just from people around me doing it, and amazing producers and master engineers that I'm still good mates with in Melbourne that kind of coaxed me into doing it. And it just seems to be that Pro Tools is the industry standard for recording, mixing and mastering at a professional level as well. So I just kind of thought to myself, it'd be good to learn that workflow and learn a new software, and it'd be kind of fun and exciting. And so I started doing that, and was helped along the way by my friends who showed me the ropes. And I just found that it worked really well for me as well. And it, as you said, like it really makes sense for me, and I really enjoy being able to split up my workflows. And I'll have a much more lenient, relaxed kind of process on Ableton, where like I'm not too focused on EQing things or making things, sound tight or panned or this and that when I'm producing, even though I'll still do some of that along the way, because at the end of the day, mix decisions are creative decisions to me. But I'm not super hyper focused on like, everything needs to be very neat and tidy.
Okay.
And I just want to make a cool song, but then once I'm finished with it, that's when I swap over to Pro Tools, and I start analyzing things with a fine tooth comb. And like for me, I'm quite a type A meticulous kind of personality. I like things being very, very neat and tidy and very structured and very ordered. And that's when I'll turn that hat on through Pro Tools and analyze every layer, and just make sure that everything, even the formatting, looks perfect and the colors are nice. Everything's neat and tidy. All the clips are like, comped to the exact, on the same kind of, I don't know what's the word, like they're just, everything looks really neat and tidy.
Yep.
All my tracks are labeled, and they all, are routed perfectly and in order, and everything looks beautiful. And then once that's all good, then I'm like, oh, cool. I'll start like my mixing hat and put that on. And then it's a very different process, but at the same time, it's still very much a continuum and part of the same song and the same process itself at the same time.
Yeah.
But I'm just looking at it through a different lens, I guess, as I said, still make creative decisions. Like if I'm deciding to, I don't know, low pass and EQ to a certain frequency or something, like I might be doing that to avoid a particular frequency clash with another instrument that's playing simultaneously or something, or I might pan something a little bit to the side to make a bit of space in the stereo field. But that at the end of the day, all those decisions are still creative decisions because they influence the creative output and how the song sounds. And like say removing some of the bass from a guitar and making it a bit top-ended changes the emotion of it as well, and you've got to take that into consideration as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's it like then when you get to do your live gigs? Like I saw that you're playing some shows with Zoo last year, and that's a very different experience again from having not endless time, but you could work on a track hypothetically forever to find a right sound or the exact groove that you wanted to program in. Do you enjoy the live experience of making music because it is a bit more back to when you first started DJing and were playing in clubs or were performing with orchestras and stuff back on the cello days?
Yeah, it's very different. I love it and I enjoy it. It's definitely something I'm not as familiar with just because I don't do it as much at the moment. And I'd like to be able to, but it's hard because live gigs take a lot more time. Whereas doing studio stuff can be flexible with my work schedule. If I've got live gigs and this and that and touring, it's quite hard to manage with my work schedule at the moment. And I love my day job, and I love that I'm able to keep up music alongside, but in no way do I want to sacrifice like progress with my day job in medicine at the expense of like music at the moment, unfortunately.
Yep.
So it's kind of just balancing those priorities in my life, where still for me, medicine is my number one focus. So I think that makes doing live stuff a bit tricky and hard to balance and manage. Maybe one day in the future, once I'm a bit more solidified with my medical career, then I'd love to revisit doing more live gigs. But it's as you said, it's a very different ball game. Like choosing the sounds that you want for a live set, setting up grooves and the beat, and running through different things on my keyboard on the spot. It's good fun. I feel like it's not as like you don't have to be as pedantic and crazy as if it's like the studio version of the song. So it's a bit more flexible, and obviously a lot more is focused upon your energy there and presence on stage, and the way that you're able to interact with your audience through your manner, your body language, and as well, of course, like through your music and having kind of live versions of your songs. Yeah.
Well, I think you're quite an impressive and remarkable human. Like you've achieved kind. So much success with like your music, but even then, it's not your main focus, I suppose. Like you get millions of streams on a track, but your main attention is on your medicine career. So how do you go about trying to find a way to keep being a successful producer whilst most people who do medicine are totally consumed by the physical and mental demands of that job, but you've still maintained across like the entirety of your study and working life in that field like a consistent collaborative and release schedule with all these different music projects. It's quite remarkable.
Thank you. I really appreciate those kind words. It's definitely been challenging, very busy, and a lot to keep up with. For me, music is it's not now that it has become work, it is, I guess, something that I have deadlines at times, and it does feel like work because it is work, but at the same time it's just like it's like my outlet and my release from medicine, and that's it's just something I love doing, and if I've had a stressful day at work, instead of coming home to watch TV necessarily, even if I am just chipping away at like a project with a deadline, that's fun for me. That's something I enjoy doing. So to me, I kind of see it as a bit of downtime and a break from my day job. I think I pride myself that I'm a very organized person, and through my organizational skills, I've been able to keep up like my full-time day job alongside doing the music stuff properly as well. And I think another important reason that I've been able to be successful is probably, simply put, it's Zuhair, like the singer that I work with. The way that we work and operate, because like it's our songs that we make together, very much so. But he's kind of the figurehead for it, and that takes a lot of pressure off me from like the marketing end of things and the release and the kind of all the I don't know, say like now with feature artists or like negotiations with management. We're still fully independent at the moment, so we're doing that all ourselves. But most of the time it's just Zoo doing it. And that takes a lot of pressure off me that I don't need to do all these extra things, which takes so much time. Like the business side and the non-technical, the non-music side of music is just a whole nother kettle of fish. And because we're independent, it falls onto us. I think we're very lucky that Zoo's a very capable person and is able to consistently and confidently manage all those things. And just these years, I just haven't had to worry about too much of that. And I think just having that extra pressure off me just allows me to just pump out beats, make songs, do what I do best. And then I guess just like reap the rewards and see our music, reaching all these people and, doing well, which has just been really, crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember what it was like the first time that one of the songs really blew up and how that felt?
Just unbelievable, just weird. I remember early on and even now, like if I think about it, it's just crazy that people actually listen to the stuff that I make. And like a lot of our popular stuff is from many years ago, like back when I was living at home at mum's place, and it was like me and Zoo just hanging out in my bedroom studio, and we were just making stuff for fun. Like I had no expectation or understanding that people would actually want to listen to the song, let alone 10 million times or whatever. It just feels crazy, and it's very flattering and very humbling that people enjoy the things that we've created, and that these ideas that have been in my head that I've been able to transcribe to software and to digital stuff and onto the keyboard and into notes and rhythms and random sounds has just been well received by people across the world. So it means a lot to me. It really just warms my heart every day.
Well, we've been playing this game on the podcast, Alex, where I get each guest to ask a question of the next guest.
Okay.
So I've got a question for you from the previous guest.
Okay.
Which is Grace Chia, who's like a spoken word rap and hip hop artist.
Yeah.
I want to ask how do you prepare for a show like before you go on stage? Like what do you do in the green room or like the day of a show? What do you do before you perform? Because I always find that super interesting. Like some people like have to have a drink, or some people like I will not drink at all. Some people have like, I don't know, really obscure rituals. Yeah.
Oh, interesting question. What do I do before a live show in the green room? It's definitely not drink.
Okay.
Definitely not. The reason, I'm quite lightweight, so that'd be a very bad idea nowadays. But also, as a person of Asian descent, I flush a lot when I drink.
Yes.
And I wouldn't want to go on the stage looking like a tomato.
Oh,
so that would be very, very bad. What do I do before I show? Zoo likes to do push-ups.
Oh, to get the pump.
Yeah. He likes to do a few, like not an excessive amount because he needs to sing. For me, I don't have a particular thing yet.
Okay.
I just kind of keep it chill. I'll just make sure that I feel prepared. I'll go through like my chords and stuff, but I've already prepared everything, so it's normally relatively straightforward, and I'm not too nervous about it.
Yeah.
I guess just take some deep breaths, have a bit of a chat, and just if I'm performing with an artist, like it's mostly Zoo at the moment, like I'll just check on him, make sure he's doing all right, make sure everyone else is all right, and we're all happy. And by everyone else, it's just me and Zoo for our performances. Or I guess that, like often we'll have like our partners backstage with us or something as well, and everyone's feeling okay and we're all good. And then I don't have a particular thing. DJ sets, like I nowadays don't do very many like public. It's mostly just weddings that we do, which is a lot more fun and easier and less pressure. I don't know. I don't have a thing for that because that's pretty chill. You just go and you do it.
Yeah.
I think I'd say relax is probably my big thing before a performance. I just like to relax.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what question would you like to ask our next guest?
What question would I like to ask our next guest? Do I have any context of who or what this person might do, or is it just an absolutely random question?
Well, like they're a musician or like music adjacent professional.
Yeah.
Or not strictly just professional musicians. It's quite an eclectic mix on the show. But no, you don't know who they are.
Okay.
It's part of the interest and intrigue of listening from episode to episode.
Okay. I'm just trying to think of a relevant yet random as hell question that...
Like the question doesn't need to be music specific. As the podcast comes out, it will become quite evident that it's like a really interesting development of questions from like, I've been asked this question, so now I'm going to ask the next person this question.
Okay, I've got one.
You're free to go anywhere you want, Alex.
Okay. What is I guess, style of music or genre of music that you are embarrassed to say that you listen to and generally wouldn't tell anyone or want to tell anyone about it?
Yeah, interesting question. I like it. Thank you. I like to end the podcast with 5 short questions.
Yeah.
So just go with your gut. But what's your favourite venue to play in Melbourne?
Oh, favourite venue to play in Melbourne. Okay. This is just a wedding specific venue.
Okay.
Because I just rave about this place. I really like the Stones of the Yarra Winery.
Oh,
that's just a beautiful place to be.
It is a nice spot. Yeah. I've also played some weddings there.
Oh, it's just a beautiful place. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the first wedding venue we've had referenced on the show.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
All right, and so what would be your dream venue to play at?
My dream venue to play at? I don't know. I don't really have a dream venue in mind. But I guess like one day, like if I, started getting bigger as a solo producer for myself as well, like a main stage at a music festival would be pretty crazy.
Yes.
Like, I don't know, like one of the big ones, EDC, Coachella or something like that. That'd be insane. Yeah.
Well, we'll check in again in a few years' time.
That's a pipe dream.
Alex, what is your coffee order?
It depends. So if I like the place and I think that they make good coffee, then I'll often go for a black coffee, a long black, or even espresso shot sometimes. Especially if I'm not feeling too hungry, then I won't get milk. But if I am feeling hungry and I want my belly to be filled, or I don't trust the coffee at the place that I'm at, then I'll dilute it with milk, but it has to be soy because I'm lactose intolerant.
Okay.
So a soy latte.
How do you know? Is it like through trial and error that you can figure out if a place makes good coffee, or do you go in and you just look at the barista and they give you a vibe, or the machine is...
Yeah, I look them in the eyes as best as I can, and I just make very deep eye contact and stare into their soul, and I'll decide whether or not I think they're going to under or over extract the shot.
Wow.
No, I don't know. No, I just do something. If it's a coffee shop, like if it's a proper coffee shop and I feel like a black coffee, then I'll go for a black coffee.
Yep.
But if it's like, I don't know, like a crappy hospital cafe or something at my work.
Yes.
Not the current place that I work because they make great coffee. if they ever happen to listen to this. But then I'll just go for the safe option.
All right, well, what's your favourite place to get food after a gig in Melbourne?
I don't have an answer to that because I like to go to sleep after a gig. I'm really tired.
Okay.
So I don't like to late night snack really. I'm trying to be healthier nowadays as well. But late night Asian food is always a go-to for me.
Is there a particular...
Not really. Depends on where I am.
Okay.
It really depends on where I am and what's available. Otherwise, I'll go home, and if I'm really hungry, I'll have instant noodles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, finally, Alex, what is one piece of advice that you would give to your younger self?
On a music-related note, there's something that I guess I've always kept in mind, and I think it's something that I myself, younger me, as well as me still, as well as a lot of people around me, struggle with, and it's the concept that I think a lot of us are perfectionists, and including myself, and we always just want to release the best music possible. But I think that perfection is an ideal that doesn't exist. And if you want to think about it mathematically, perfection is an asymptote. Asymptote? It's like a point that you'll never reach, that your graph will constantly strive to reach, but it never actually touches the asymptote. And if you constantly have this idea in your mind that you want to strive for perfection, you'll never release anything and you'll never be happy with yourself. And you just need to basically just put yourself out there and put your best foot forward, work hard, do all the marketing and everything else you need to do around your music and around your release. But document your journey and make music that obviously doesn't suck. You can't release rubbish. Well, you can, but it won't do very well, unfortunately. But like, get your stuff up to a standard and just be happy with the product that you've created, and have the confidence and the mindset to want to share it with the world and make the world a better place with your track, and then move on to the next with the understanding that all your subsequent projects and releases and singles and albums will probably be better because you'll be a better musician, you'll be a more mature person, you'll be technically better at your instrument, whether that's vocals or whatever instrument you play, or your production skills, and you may be more financially equipped as well to get better services and better equipment and this and that, and everything's just going to get better and better, and your style and preference of music and what you enjoy will change and drift as well, and that'll go alongside your journey as a musician. But unless you put stuff out there, like, you're just constantly, if you don't release, you're just constantly striving for perfection, which is something that doesn't exist. Well, so that's what I try to tell myself.
It's really nice, and I hope it resonates with some listeners out there. I know, like, for me, that's definitely my trap. I have a decade's worth of unreleased music that was never it was never perfect, and so it never came out. And I think you're a credit to your hard work and focus on developing skills that you have, and you've lucked upon a few introductions to like meeting Zoo and stuff to just start something, but you've worked so hard at learning skills and constantly pushing yourself. And I think, the success that you're having as a producer now is just a testament to the great music making you've had and the hard work and effort you've put in. And it's quite inspiring the way that you've, at various times decided to learn something new, and then the ability you've had to then pull off success with that, learning the new skill or learning the new door, or producing a new style of music. And it's exciting to see, I think, what is going to happen with your like solo production under A2K now that you're relaunching that project, or I guess at least like releasing some of your own music rather than like collaborations. So thanks so much for sharing your experiences and perspectives and different thoughts about your music and life. And it's been really special to catch up with you. So thanks, Alex.
No, thank you, Luke. It's been an absolute honor and a pleasure to be here, and even to be selected to be on this podcast means a lot to me. It's been lovely catching up, and thank you so much for giving me the opportunity.
if anyone wants to get in touch with you to like produce a track for them, or they want to listen to some of your music, do you have like a place or best means of contact for any of our listeners that want to get in touch or check out your music?
Probably through my social media would be best. So I am at A2K. I think it's A2K Studio or A2K.studio. A2K.studio.
I'll put it up in the podcast line notes, and I'll tag it in our social media so people can find it.
My new music. Yeah, A2K.studio.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right, sick.
Thanks very much.
Thanks so much, Alex. Thanks for joining us on Our Drummers Musicians. I hope you enjoyed getting to know another Melbourne muso like I did. Help us grow by leaving a review, share the podcast with friends and family, and subscribe on our website for extra info. Got a guest you'd love to hear on the show? Please let us know at ourdrummersmusicians.com. See you next time.